Welcome to a new episode of Hospitality Meets CRM. I'm Bruno Horta Soares. I'm a university professor and advisor in the areas of digital transformation in general and in hospitality sector in particular.
I'm Diogo Rebelo, and I manage the HubSpot CRM practice at Findmore Solutions.
In today's episode, we are going to discuss this concept of data-driven decisions and how the insights are really transforming hospitality. It's definitely one of my favorite topics because it's always asking which come first, information or technology? Okay, Diogo, I always remember this article for many years ago of John Carr for Harvard Business Review when the guy was saying that IT doesn't matter. And it was a very shocking article because everyone say, why? How come IT doesn't matter? But if you read the article, what the guy was saying was technology is the part that gets faster to the commoditization. And once gets to the commoditization, is no longer a competitive advantage. So what's left in the IT world is actually the I. It was there that everything started. People cannot manage data, so they started to develop these applications to turn data and information. We are from the age of IT, but we are also from the age of BI that, okay, now I have information, but I have to turn information in knowledge. I have to analyze these patterns, but the last mile is the one that we are discussing today. That is, what can you do with knowledge? And at the end, everything ends up or actually starts in the value creation, in the decision. So all this cycle of data turning into information to knowledge to value is not new, but it's being accelerated, isn't it?
It is, but I think one of the triggers of this acceleration is the increase of the different types of devices that can capture information. Mm-hmm. We have mobiles, we have all the IoT small devices. Now we have watches, for instance, that capture real-time information about our heart rate. So the amount of data that is available at the moment to be analyzed is way bigger than ever. And I think that is, creating an opportunity, and the organizations that are trying to capture all that data and turn that into information and knowledge, as you mentioned, are the ones who are thriving.
I keep seeing organizations saying we have many information, we have too much information, but rarely they have actually big data, because what is generating, as you mentioned, the sensor that is in the beginning of everything are the fingers of the humans. Actually, we still use keyboards and mouses to get inputs. What you're saying is that the digital transformation only started to happen when the sensor is no longer the human, but actually technologies like mobile, smartphones, and IoT that actually brings lots of data, amounts of data to your organization that are no longer possible to a human eye to understand, isn't it?
It is. So if we think this from a customer journey perspective, and if we go through, the departments of an organization, you start with marketing, for instance. And nowadays, the amount of data we can collect from a marketing and like all the digital interactions, we can know now if a customer converted on our website, from which ad he came, what was the search criteria that he used. So we have so much information that is so important for us to turn those campaigns more efficient. If we go into sales, again, if we capture more data and more elements, we can make, better adjustments and transform our processes in more effective.
If you have a lot of data, you can understand what happened in the past, but you cannot predict, right? You cannot think about the future. You cannot think actually in the journey. When we look to the numbers, the first topics that everyone say, we cannot do that because we don't have enough governance of data, management of data. And that again is due to the silos of information in the organizations. How come the CRM platform is actually the one that will help organizations to better govern and manage the data?
I wouldn't say that the CRM should be the place to hold all the data. That's what we have, data lakes and those data structures where BI platforms feed their analysis from. CRM should have data that is related to the customer interactions. And there might be more data that is stored in a much more unstructured way, where other tools that are not the CRM can analyze and generate more knowledge.
When companies in the hospitality sector are developing programs of guest engagement analytics, for example, it's not about dashboards and reports. It's actually about the behaviors, the tone, the moment, even the emotion they get in the relation with the customer. How HubSpot is dealing with this, not reporting, but the fact that with the platform like this, you can actually predict the interactions that you'll do.
So the way it handles is HubSpot should get those insights from those analytical platforms and then act. And again, it's a great example where we don't need to store in a CRM all the data. We could have just an insight that is being produced by a parallel platform that is giving us an insight for us to trigger an action.
But and with that topic, let me jump to another topic that is this concept of 360-degree view of the customer. Is that you're talking about? So we have not only to have the journey of the marketing or whatever, but you have to have the customer in the center to do actually a 360-degree connected customer data management?
You do. Like the concept of a 360-degree view is when you combine all the life cycle stage of a customer data in one place. And and this is again going back to the traditional buzzwords of CRM. You have the marketing data, you have the sales data, and you have the service data. And this basically matches the entire journey that the customer usually have with any organization. Is the before, the attraction to the brand, the conversion stage, the sales or the service execution, and the post sales. So it's a long journey, and if we can collect all that data in a consolidated 360-degree view, then you cannot act smarter.
But you still see companies doing that collection of data mostly for past information and to support, for example, campaigns. Okay, I have more data, I will do campaigns, but that's not analytics. I was thinking a CRM that is more real time and that you can actually follow the journey and not only through campaigns, better campaigns definitely, but the amount of data that you need to follow the journey, it's huge, isn't it?
It is, but I think you need historical data to start a few of the processes. For instance, when we implement CRM in hospitality groups, one of the first thing when we start integrating property management systems, restaurant booking systems, we start by bringing historical data, and that's really important, at least for you to kind of start understanding segments of customers. And then what you're talking about, the real-time orchestration, it's a different thing, and that's based on all the data that you're collecting for the journeys that are happening in that moment. So past information is still really important.
Yeah, but imagine you are at a hotel and you really get into this sense of use case of 360-degree of the client. But to enrich the context, you need data that is coming from partners in the ecosystem. How do you see this sharing of data happening today?
I don't see it happening, to be honest. I think it will happen, you know. And again, how it will flow to the CRM. That depends a lot on mainly the amount of data that we are talking. You know, when we are talking about huge amount of data processing, that shouldn't be a job of a CRM platform. CRM platform should receive the processed data, you know, to act and do something about it.
I remember many years ago when we studied this sense of transforming information in knowledge. Remember Clementine? Just come up to my mind. But nowadays you are not discussing the structured data or the structured data or information to knowledge. You are trying to decide on top of unstructured data, right?
Yeah, structured and unstructured. And I know, and especially now with the AI, rise, AI feeds and learns from both type of structured and unstructured data. So they are both important.
And when you start thinking in this real time, you want to keep following the journey, not before and after, but also when you are in contact, direct contact, either in a hotel or in other type of venue. And you start to try to collect, as we mentioned before, as much data from the customer as I can. But every time I talk about data from customer, I'm talking about personal data. how this is being influenced by the laws and regulations that are impacting the way that we want to predict. I want to know your emotions. How do you manage this in the CRM? How to have a platform, a structured platform, help organizations to do all this, but in compliance and in a responsible way?
So the way is data the data is stored in HubSpot, at least it's like we can differentiate almost the relational data model kind of database type of data recording that is transactional records. I have properties, I have transactions, reservations, and then we have what we call event data. And event data is not, even though it's related with something that happened, but it's almost timeline driven.
Yep.
So they are stored in different ways. In HubSpot, the behavioral data is stored on what we usually call the CDP architecture, and all the transactional and property data is stored almost in a database model. But then what we do with the data that you're storing from the customer, if you are crossing you're starting to store sensitive information, then these platforms also know how to handle that from a permission point of view. Who has access to this data and how is it stored security wise? Where do I have this data stored? Is it correctly secured? I'm in a reach of security breaches. We also have the GDPR maintenance. Everything can be handled by these platforms.
Because you have the storing of data that is sensitive, but also with the AI that HubSpot has, AI will start doing things, particularly related with emotions and some kind of profiling. Having a platform that is really aware about this stuff is important, so organizations don't use so many applications that every application is using their data and managing their data, but at the end is clients' data. So having this centralization of the data will support a better analytics and a better data-driven decision?
From an AI perspective, I always think and say that AI works to solve one problem. So at least the way HubSpot is approaching AI is you create agents for specific tasks. So I have an AI agent that is specialized in marketing, so it's trained to generate content.
Okay.
So that agent feeds a part of the data. But if I have a customer service agent, he will feed himself to learn from unstructured data. He can read PDFs to learn what to answer. He could also read the amount of interactions or a few information. But the idea of having it centralized is you can have multiple agents learning from that data and doing something in favor of the organization.
As I was saying before, the fact that most of the companies have data in silos, most of that data don't have actually quality. Is that data need to be prepared in advance to be inputted in CRM, or the CRM governance platform probably will have also principles and a layer of governance and management of data will help organizations to converge to a single data core?
And that's a great question. So that's, I think, what we do as CRM specialists. So when we are pulling data from different platforms, there is an element when you are doing integration of systems that you need to consolidate. There is an element of deduplication, and this is very common. For instance, property management systems have lots of duplicate customer records. So we don't change the way that data is stored in those platforms. But when we build integration, we need to find a way of merging those multiple profiles in a single profile. So you start having the data well stored and then cleansed. So there is always an element of transformation of the data when you are doing an integration with the CRM.
But do you see companies, especially in hospitality, doing more of you have almost an ETL to the CRM, or you start using CRM as the master core data of customers? What you're seeing?
You mix both, because you need to do that ETL element when you're bringing data from other transactional systems, again, the property management systems, the restaurant booking systems. But when you want to bring that data to that, consolidated profile of customer, there is an element of transformation. But then the CRM itself keeps adding more information on top of those profiles that they collect from the marketing, from all the interactions that are being monitored by the platform.
again, one of the concerns of the clients that I see is the visibility about the guest information and the visitors or the clients. This fact that you have everything in the same spot will allow you to have more trust in the data that you are actually using to decide when you are contacting to a campaign or taking care of a message to the customer.
It's of course yes, because like imagine you're looking to everything you need to know in a single place. So if I open your record on a CRM and I know that you had past reservations, you have open issues, I can immediately understand if you're a frustrated customer, if you're a happy customer. So like everything in a short amount of time. And then the other amazing thing that HubSpot is doing is they are using AI in a very smart way. So as you said correctly, CRMs are collecting more and more and more information. It's very hard, and even though it's in a 360-degree view, it's still a huge amount of data. So AI agents are now summarizing everything that is going, all the emails that were exchanged, and they give you a short paragraph, and you can even interrogate AI and ask questions about that specific question, and basically it's context-based answers. So it's brilliant. It saves you tons of times, and it's like giving superpowers to the employees.
Let me add a final, a little bit sensitive topic, that is this emotional data, or data about the feelings, or the way you really manage the sentiment of the customers. When you're discussing in a CRM, is that a topic that you being asked, and how a CRM platform manage? Okay, I need to understand what are the limits to do that, but I need to do that actually.
It's called sentimental analysis. It's very common. So it's very used on social media. When you're monitoring, like when we have channels like, Twitter, it's not, or X, it's not what it used to be anymore. But when you had lots of noise or conversations happening about your brands that couldn't process all that information, they would be interested in having that sentimental analysis and focusing on the ones that are speaking really bad and the ones that are speaking really well about you. So that started in marketing, but sentimental analysis is also used from a customer service point of view. So the tone of an email determines the frustration of a customer. So you could apply a sentimental analysis to score the frustration of a customer. So it's done a lot with review management. So the reviews that happen, and this is something we do for some hospitality customers, we pull all the reviews from OTAs, from TripAdvisor, from Google reviews, and we bring them to the CRM, and we apply, we get the normal scoring of those reviews, but we can also apply sentimental analysis and kind of identifying, even though this guy gave you a 4, he might be frustrated, you know. So you can, again, is being smart about the information you're capturing.
So it's possible to do and align with all the regulations and laws if you are doing it through a platform that is already prepared by design to do that. You have some guardrails or limitations inside the platform to do that, right?
Because the sentimental analysis models, all they do is see how you write. So it's nothing specific about you. It's about the tone of your communication, you know. And even I think now the AI is taking this to a different level, and even they do facial, expression analysis. They could see by the way you're looking that you're frustrated or not. So the level of these, and there's nothing wrong about that, because you're just using these to capture sentiment, you know.
And at the end of the day, I think the fact that you are using credible platforms will allow you to do things, but explain the things that you are doing. So the sense of transparency, the visibility about what you are doing is critical. If you are using just standalone applications or standalone uses of AI, you can send a campaign that you don't even understand how the campaign went out, and you are doing bad things or having bad impacts just because you don't follow the process. Having all that process inside the same platform, I'm sure will allow not only the better campaigns, but also to justify if some things need to be justified afterwards.
I don't think anyone at the moment is allowing AI to do everything autonomous, except like search engines or big AI models that were developed. But at the moment, AI again is is used to support an action. It's like the very common use case that I think everyone uses is content generation, but you shouldn't be. No one relies on AI to do all the content generation. You ask AI to do the heavy lifting. You then ask the humans to perfect.
So this is not about control. This is about using the right data in the right moment to the right client, and that's the role of a CRM nowadays.
Yeah, it's empowering organizations with superpowers generated from the data.
Okay, perfect.
So today we have a special guest, Tiago Fonseca from Pluto Analytics. Tiago, thank you for joining us in this podcast.
Thank you for the invitation.
Can you give us a brief introduction of who you are and who is Pluto Analytics?
Of course. So my name is Tiago. I've been working in the data and analytics industry for almost 30 years. Pluto is a company I founded in 2018, so we are 7 years old. And we help companies dealing with data, since defining a data strategy or a BI strategy, we don't work with business strategy, so we only deal with data, from data strategy to any kind of implementation. So the final dashboarding and reporting is the result of consolidating data, collecting data, treating data, streaming, real-time analytics, AI, big data. There are lots of buzzwords. So we mainly help companies dealing with their data.
I work a lot with buzzwords, so
You're very good with buzzwords.
On it. But you just mentioned something that I also say a lot, that when someone say I work with analytics for 30 years, it's because this is actually not new. The concept was there for many, many years. Companies were trying to do stuff. Even hospitality organizations already were doing analytics. So what is this new approach to analytics? What's new when today someone say, no, now I'm really digital transforming my organization?
Yes. Well, actually, when we today talk about machine learning and AI, two of the buzzwords of the moment, actually nothing is new, right? So the algorithms, the mathematicians, the statistics that is behind, everything was created in the 70s or in the last millennium. What we have today is a large computation capability and data awareness, So, we start working with BI in the 90s when we began talking and discussing what could be done. Back then, we called this area decision support systems, It was mainly reactive. So we analyze data from the past and show how business is going. Then we start collecting business intelligence, right? Because it's the place where we can generate intelligence or insights for the business. So now it's common to have predictive algorithms, prescriptive algorithms, and the way to get there, if it is big data or small data, if we use machine learning or AI, it doesn't matter. It's the way that we need to get to the insights. So every system, this is how we sometimes position our business to customers. Obviously, we have to implement left to right, so we have to collect data, treat data, and produce insights. But we have to think the other way around. So what business questions do we...
Why are we asking it?
And if we don't think right to left, then we will generate just a big amount of data and KPIs that no one will care or use. And change management is very important in these projects. So people and companies must have a data-driven culture. Otherwise, it's just information that nobody is going to use.
One of the topics that we're discussing is exactly that amazing buzzword that is data-driven organizations. What do you think are the biggest challenges? Because it's easy to say, it's so hard to implement. What you see today are the biggest challenges companies still facing, in particular in hospitality?
Yes. Obviously, one of the big issues in every activity sector is getting on-time and quality data for analysis. And if we think, what must be our steps to be a data-driven company. I would say, obviously, you have to bet on lots of things, but if we want to prioritize, I would say first people. You have to create a data-driven culture inside your company. People must be aware that they must share information, they must break data silos, and they need to work together, and that data is only going to help them doing their job, not steal. And so sometimes we talk about AI. AI is just a way to get results, and it's not the objective of AI replace humans. Okay, AI is just a methodologies to get some kind of results to help people. In movies we see that sometimes robots will take care of us. No, that's not the objective of AI. Okay. So
and you still have the garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you feed the AI agent with bad data, the problem is still there.
It's giving. I always use the giving superpowers to people. Like it makes you so more efficient. Yeah.
You still see a lot that concept, that principle of my data, your data, even inside an organization.
Yes.
How come this centralization of a data in a data core, or at least this sense of corporate data, is actually a critical success factor?
Yes, it was changing in time. So first, for your first question, the bigger the company is, sometimes the differences inside the company make things work badly. I've seen a lot of large corporations where IT, that is supposed to be a transversal department to help other departments achieve results, most of the time they are struggling because IT is only concerned in keeping their systems running, while departments like marketing or sales are always demanding, no, we need this and we need
speed.
this.
Speed.
And sometimes we get a fight, not oriented to the company orientation. So this culture must come from the top of the company. Sometimes, I don't say sometimes, I believe all BI projects are difficult to measure the results. Okay, so the sponsorship must come from above so that these initiatives can go through. Otherwise, they will fail in little fights.
It's very common on sales teams when we are doing CRM projects I don't want to share my data. I want my data just to myself, and it's bonkers. Like, it drives me crazy. And I say, why? What's the problem? You get data from everywhere. The more you share, better you do.
But most of the times it's because you don't have the right business incentives, as you're saying. It's very common that I go to an organization and say, we are just preparing the data so the business can know what they do. And that's supposed to be the opposite. I need these, so where's the data? Where's the knowledge? I need to take decisions. Can you give us some real-world examples where the decisions start by a need and not by a technical objective?
Yes. Even in the hospitality. When you design a need and you need to go through it, there are good examples. For instance, a very large brand in hospitality decided to build a dynamic pricing engine for apartments and habitations. Obviously, this is hard to do. It has been done for years in the flight industry,
in the aviation,
or transport. Now, Flixbus, it's very common. But for hospitality, it was a challenge because you need to collect a lot of data to do this. But starting with this challenge, then you can break down in little problems. So what information are we going to need? So obviously we need competition information in real time. You need to somehow create a market demand forecast. Obviously you need customer insights from CRM, customer behavior, and so on, and have external information that obviously affects the demand, like external events, the weather, bank holidays, and so on. Collecting all this information, it's the first step. Then you have to treat it. You have to create the models, the demand forecast model, the price elasticity model. So talking a bit more clearly, the model that will say how customers will respond to price changes and so on. And the result was obviously amazing because the usage occupation increased a lot, and the major KPIs like the average revenue per room had a huge increase.
Yeah, because most of the times the question is when the business really knows, I want more revenue, I want more efficiency. The drive is the need of the business. Actually, there's a challenge that is you go to that company and do one project, and the project worked well. How you transform this not as a project, but as you mentioned, as a platform from the technology side, but as a culture in the whole organization. What's the difference? How can you change from one mindset to another?
Yes, well, specific cases help a lot because obviously, for a company to become data-driven and bring all the information into big data platforms, it's hard. It's difficult to measure the results. So actually, we call it a leap of faith. So that's why we need a high sponsorship in the company. Someone has to believe that we need this, and having a good data strategy aligned with business strategy, this system will help us get our business objectives. So obviously, first you define your strategy. We want to expand to this region, or we want to different
increase
kinds
occupations
and so on. So with that business strategy, we know, we will have to have these systems to control. We will need these KPIs to know how the business is running. And everything is growing and developing from this basis. Obviously, 20 or 30 years ago, we had large and long projects. So to design these systems, we took like 2 or 3 years. Today, this is impossible. You have to have results in a short time. So you basically need a direction. We want to go there, but we will follow a path, bringing results, immediate results, and then obviously we can reassess and our priorities change. So it's a living being. The design of these systems, it's continuous.
And what stops organizations from doing that? What do you think? What's is it? they are afraid to invest. It's ignorance. What it is?
It's a difficult decision. We must admit it. Obviously, we work with data.
You want to sell the projects.
we are sellers, but obviously it's a difficult investment because when you say, I'm going to buy new air conditioners, okay, this will improve something.
Yeah, it has an immediate effect.
How it costs and what is the immediate result. Building a strong data foundation for a company, it's difficult. It's a large investment, all right? That's why it's easier when you say, okay, let's try to achieve this goal first and start small and then start growing. It's easier for companies to adopt.
Because they start to see the immediate result. Yeah.
And when you start thinking as a capability and not as an implementation, actually you have the capability. So probably in the beginning you are implementing the platforms, but then from that point forward, you can start challenging the platform, and the platform is the same. Sometimes the companies are so focused in ROI, right? It's how can I have the return of the investment in the shorter time period that I can. And isn't that need to be a more return on the asset? Because the data is actually an asset, is not something that just like any other resource you use and you decrease and transform in a product. When you have data, the data keeps growing and the products keep growing. How do you change that mindset in the management team?
Well, actually today, technology, it's easy, okay? So you have large cloud platforms that grow with your business, that can instantly grow you, and you don't need to worry.
In buying servers and connecting them.
Yes. And all the tools are generally available. Today, it's even possible to build a very strong data project and foundations with open source software. Okay, so technology is at hand. You just need to take it. What really is the challenges for companies? It's the same in every industry. Get good quality data on time, mostly real time today. Getting people to understand that data-driven is good for the company. So we are talking about developing this project. Change management is at the top of the priorities today when we are implementing data projects. Users must be aware of what is being created. They have to see their processes, the way they work today. It must be seen in the project that is being delivered. Otherwise, they will not trust, they will not use, and the project can be wonderful, but it will fail. So, yeah.
Again,
But
it's
if
change
com-
management, isn't it?
Yeah, but if companies don't do data-driven decisions, how do they make decisions? It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
They are doing gut feeling.
Gut
with this-
feeling, exactly.
these
Oh, I have lots of
decisions.
experience. I know this will work. Trust me.
Yeah, and most of the time, of course, they are, all right?
Yeah.
It's the people that understand their own business, but not totally, obviously.
They might miss an angle that.
Yeah.
You had some experience in hospitality. Sometimes some people say that hospitality is very conservative because it's here for so many times and it's very human relations. So when you say, no, now you're putting data in the loop, people get a little bit uncomfortable. From the projects that you delivered, what do you highlight as the critical success factors that in that particular moment in hospitality made all the difference?
Getting data in hospitality is complicated because obviously we have lots of data privacy and compliance issues. It's you cannot take pictures of people in their residences, but you can collect data, of course. It's not easy. It's not at end. It's not a digital industry, but part is right. So. For instance, the booking, the check-in, the check-out, these processes can be digital, and this will allow interactions with the customers and might habilitate companies to collect some information, right? When you do a check-in, if you have a small questionnaire, is it business? Is it...
It's progressive profiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, you cannot do a full inquiry
Yeah.
like when you land in the United States, but if you throw a few simple questions in every touch
The
point...
right moment, yeah.
Yeah, and you keep asking another question and another question. And
Yes.
yeah.
And obviously, you get a lot of information from social networks, from all those apps where you can give feedback. And this is really important because it's easy to handle this information that is already digital, even in real time. It's
So you're saying that in hospitality, when the decision makers focus in solutions and not in problems, is the rule number one, because it's difficult, it's a trouble. You need to comply every time,
Yes.
but it's possible. Is what you're saying?
Yes, difficult because hospitality work with lots of different systems, lots of external systems, lots of booking engines and so on.
For spa, for restaurant, for golf,
Yes.
all different
And-
silos.
And then you have, how do you say, data quality and data consistency
Yeah.
issues,
It's a big
right?
issue.
Integration,
Diogo is Diogo there, but in the other app is Rebelo.
Yeah.
Um,
And then if I do a booking through an OTA, my
Only
name
use-
might be
yeah.
correct, but then my email is a completely random email.
Yes.
Yeah.
So collecting data is an issue in hospitality, but it's possible and
Yeah.
it has been done.
But from what you're seeing, you see hospitality as still as a transactional. Once the client is already in the stay or in the visit, okay, he's already here, I will try to collect. But for the future, not actually thinking about the journey.
Yes, something immediately,
Not
yeah.
necessarily that stay in particular, but where he come from, and I want to keep in the journey of this client.
Yes.
That's about business, isn't it?
Yes, but that continues lots manual. Okay, this guy complained about the food. Next time we will try to make it better. Yes, it's still a bit reactive and very human, but obviously it does matter to collect this information to be treated as a whole, right? Okay, if this guy didn't like the food,
There might
you
be
collect
others.
it for the next. But it's important to understand, okay, why didn't he, this kind of customer, because it has to be typified or segment, fall into some kind of customer segment. It's important to understand, okay, why didn't these people enjoy their meal?
Okay.
So that they can act more immediately. Okay?
Yeah, because it could be those, exquisite customers that don't like anything, and it's
Yes.
actually not a problem of the food, a problem of the
or
customer.
when you have
know?
some kind of, okay, I know that I will have some kind of customers in next week. So
They are
what
pain in
will
the ass.
these guys enjoy eating?
Are they similar?
Yeah,
or
so
not?
we can be prepared.
So for a company in hospitality that want to start, what would you say? Okay, start first with this.
Good question. Usually these systems work better, or it's easier to start building something on the pains, what we call the business pains. So obviously we would have to ask, what are your major pains or business objectives? Do you want to grow? Do you want to attract other kind of customers?
The relief of the pain works every time well, better, right?
Yeah. But okay, if you are going to start by somewhere, I would need to say, no, let's start with people. Let's create a data-driven company. And then when people are aware, okay, this will help us, then we can start thinking, what are our biggest pains? What can we attack first? And then everything else will come along, right? So obviously you need to collect data and build a system, but okay, first people, then platforms. Okay, let's invest in these platforms to collect and handle data, and then processes. Okay, let's, obviously when we have insights, you have to turn them into actions, right? So first build these KPIs, know how to measure, do A/B testing, do control groups, optimize, and then take action with them. Okay, with this information, let's change this process, let's optimize these processes. And this would be the correct way of handling.
There is a question I'm always asked that I want by customers that I would like to ask you as a BI expert: is this where is the frontier where some type of analysis should be handled by platforms like CRM platforms, and what type of analysis should be handled by BI platforms?
Great question, Diego. Being a data guy and you a CRM guy, when we have a data system, we need all the information. We want everything, right? BI wants everything. For a CRM, I wouldn't say that you need the logs of a system, for instance. No, you need customer-centric information that can help in designing workflows and acting. Even real time. Obviously, we can design like 500 variables that could be useful for CRM. But to build these variables, most of the time you need even more information that I don't see any use in a CRM system. Like, for instance, the logs of a system or the traffic in the website. It's information that can be changed into KPIs that CRM can probably use. Yeah.
So you typically put apart the part of the governance of the data and the management of the data before, or at least in a more governance layer, then you use the CRM more as a focus in the area of customer.
Yes.
Is that your suggestion?
A data platform. For a data platform, CRM is just another source.
Yeah.
And the destiny, right?
Yeah.
We collect data for CRM and we place
Provide
data
insights.
that CRM will need. Yes. But
What I see happening is some companies and that layer will need some kind of maturity or a level of maturity. When you separate data or information from the technology and say, okay, you can have the layer of the technology, but the common core of data, that's already in a level of maturity. Don't you see that CRM sometimes is used because it's probably the easiest way to having a master of data, and at the end of the day, because the client is at the center of all the decisions. So don't you see that CRM sometimes is being used as that replacement, at least in the beginning when the maturity is a little bit lower?
yes, obviously it depends on the systems that the hospitality will be using, yes. But CRM, most of the in several occasions, it's the start of the BI system, right?
But
It's
then
where
when
you
the
have
needs
all the
increase
information,
and we say we can't give you that.
yes.
Yeah.
But regarding maturity, that's a different question. The maturity level, it's very important, right? So, and it's difficult for companies in every industry to jump steps in the maturity ladder. So this is another concern. Okay, you can speed them up to jump maturity level. So from a no BI, no awareness in level 1 to getting to know what happened and be able to react. And then you can grow up in the ladder. So you can correlationate data and understand why did those events occur. And again, and going up, you can go to prescriptive and predictive analysis. And well, in the final step, difficult to stand it. Everything is now automatized and you don't need to do nothing. But jumping these steps is very difficult. You cannot go from step 1 to step 3.
There's no leapfrogs.
The company will
this.
not respond. Okay, it's like the problems of change management. If the jump is too big, it's difficult for a company to
change that fast.
Yeah.
So you have to keep the process and trust the process, but accelerate in that process. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we learn a lot about the data-driven, not as a buzzword, but actually in practice, isn't it, Diogo?
Yeah, brilliant. Loved. Thank you for coming, Tiago.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Tiago.
Thank you.